Hello and welcome to the first Tales of Yore devlog video. I know, the game has been a year in development and I haven't done one of these video things. I'm not a big fan of my voice, even less so my appearance, so videos haven't really been my go-to method. You can of course see a complete set of written developer logs over on itch.io. Quick summary of what the video will cover is always a good place to start. This video will begin with a bit about Code and Code, history and whatnot, and then move on to the Tales of Yore, what it's meant to be and what it's like. Next we'll talk about graphics, then on to technology. Finally we'll look at how the game world and mechanics have been designed so far, and where it's headed on the roadmap. Okay, let's get started. What's with the name, Coke and Code? No, it's not a drug reference. I really just drink a lot of Coke and I code too much. Simple, see? Back in '84, I was working on a NASCOM 2 with my dad, making a simple game called Plane. From that point on it went ZX81, Spectrum and then Commodore 64, mostly copying code out of the back of computer magazines. Remember that? Years passed, computers got faster, I went to university and somehow passed a degree, and I wrote game after game after game, mostly sharing them on the university network, and then Java happened. I wrote my first commercial games including Tiltilation, Gravity Battle 1 and 2, and eventually the game with the most success, Legends of Yore. It was at this point life changed. I had the opportunity to build a company in my not games job, or ignore it and continue on my games path. Sadly I chose the day job. What a fool. And spent the next 10 years getting myself to the point of mental breakdown, literally having to take months off work to recover. While I was off work resting my brain, what should pop up again but games development? Some folks were still playing and enjoying Legends some 10 years later. They invited me to their Discord and that started me back on my passion. That was last year, and a year later, with a lot of learning and self-discovery, we now have Tales of Yore. So that leads me nicely on to Tales of Yore. What is it? To give you the blurb, Tales of Yore is a lightweight 2D massively multiplayer online game featuring all your favourite RPG tropes in one casual package. Explore, complete quests and slay evil monsters to write your tale. Alternatively, make yourself a nice purple hat and show off. The choice is yours. Tales is a return to the world of Yore, the world I created for Legends all those years ago. I have copious amounts of notes, maps and ideas from back then that make this a lot easier. Also, the players of Legends will find the world and style very familiar. The gameplay is intended to be casual, fun and chill, while still providing that massively multiplayer online game feel. I make no apologies for the conventional RPG-ness of it all and the mass of bad pop culture, game and book references you'll find in the game. Everything I'm adding to the game are the things that I love, and I hope that shows through. The game is inspired by older RPGs that I played, including Ultima Online, Tibia and Dark Age of Camelot. It's not of course trying to be any of those games, but you can certainly feel their influences. The game is about 1/16 of the size it's planned to be at this year marker. That's for this dimension of course. I'm told there's about 35 hours of gameplay available, which is awesome because I had no idea. In the game right now you can explore, quest, craft, forage, enchant, fight, cast spells and learn abilities. There's plenty of dungeons of different types to complete. Some of these are handcrafted, some are instance based and some are fully procedurally generated. There's 127 NPCs, 80 quests, nearly 70 different types of monsters and over 500 items. The game world is roughly 172,000 square tiles. But to be clear, this is just the beginning. There's a long way to go and I really appreciate people joining in on the journey. I will say however that I hadn't actually expected people to be playing until now, so things are going a little bit quicker than I'd expected. I'm trying to keep up, so please bear with me. Okay, let's take a look at the graphics. I originally started out with the intention of doing all my own pixel art. I practiced and got to a reasonably good level, but then I realised the sheer scope of the art that I would require. Enter Mini Fantasy, the most incredible set of graphics you're ever likely to find. Go to itch.io and search Mini Fantasy and you're going to see something incredible. What's more, the author runs a Patreon that gives me the opportunity to have custom editions made. Krishna P is really easy to work with and extremely inspirational. Okay, let's talk about technology. I said I use Java, and I did a long time ago. Unfortunately, I've found Java to have lost its way somewhat. It's not as productive or as fun as it once was. In my day job, I've mostly switched over to TypeScript, the language for people who like Java but want the speed of JavaScript. Even my packaging and deployment pipelines have TypeScript built in. Fixing a bug, deploying it to all platforms, including the server, takes around 15 seconds. On the client side, I use a few libraries, JSZip, BadWords and Socket.io. For Steam builds, I use Greenworks for library access. On the server side, I use Node.js, of course, and then I add a few more libraries including language detection, NodeMailer and MySQL integration. Rendering, audio and graphics is all done with the plain browser APIs, Canvas, not WebGL, and basic audio context. I rely on the platforms accelerating the canvas for me where they can, and that seems to have worked out pretty well, even iOS and Android clients running fine on reasonably low-end devices. All in all, the technology used for Tales is simple, not smart, and brute force. It's not trying to be clever or cutting edge, just enabling the creation of a game world and an experience for the players. Let's talk about game world and game design. Neither are fully fleshed out yet, but at least we can talk about what's here today. The game itself is set in a high fantasy world. There are humans, dwarves and elves with books describing even more races including the halflings and the bagoo. The player starts out as an adventurer exploring the world and completing ever more difficult and complicated quests. The world is in turmoil. An ancient evil has raised its head again, see legends, and the world has become infested with monsters and other evil. The people of the land are scared and in need of help, but they remember the time of legends. They remember the heroes of the past. The world is spread across different types of locations, now so often called biomes. We've got snow, forest, grasslands, foothills and mountains so far. Travel is currently by foot or later in game by a magic map. However, in time there will be sea travel and automatic transports of different types. In terms of game design, Tales borrows from past classic RPGs. Each player has a set of stats and skills. These are increased by exercising them, so if you want to become good with a sword, you just use the sword a lot. Your attributes, including strength, dexterity and intelligence, are currently on a flat limit of 30. Your skills, however, range from 0 to 100, with an overall cap of 665 skill points. That's right, there aren't any classes in Tales, there are just a set of skills which you can practice to define who you and what you want your character to be. Your skills and statistics unlock the use of new and more powerful items, which in turn allowed you to beat stronger monsters and complete harder quests. Finally, let's talk about plans. There's an ever-growing list on Trello of ideas, thoughts and suggestions from the people playing. Right now I can see the project going on for another 3 or 4 years before even the initial dimension of content is in place. I hope you feel like joining me for the journey. Now I don't really know how you're supposed to finish these things apart from to say thanks for watching and let me know what you think in the comments. If there's any particular topics you'd like to see covered, just drop me a line. Till next time, I hope you enjoy the game.